Tuurlijk snap ik, oké, hij moet achteruit. En de eerste gele kaart absoluut logisch.
Alright, you little sket, listen here. Just doesn't seem appropriate, to be honest. But you kick the ball away, that's a yellow card. What the? I mean, I lightly tapped it at best. But wow, I'm just gonna dip out of here.
Oh, niet achteruit.
Are you mental, mate? That's a second yellow card, you slag. Okay, no, listen. What is actually going on here? That's my least favorite letter of the alphabet. Another yellow. What does that even mean, man? You know what? I'm gone. I'm out of here. Walking away from the referee. Don't say it, I beg. Another yellow card. I don't have the time for this, man. I preferred cricket growing up anyway, so... You're not gonna... Yellow card. Yo guys, it is your boy Newman here, and you are watching FTW. This is of course the series where I bring to the best and more frequently the worst of what football has to offer during the last 7 days. What's been kicking off in the world this week? Well, there was devastating damage done. The headline, every warehouse in Bristol on fire. Surely not every single warehouse.
Fire, burn that rascal.
Yeah, the delivery company saw a massive blaze break out here. I knew it was a bad idea for this Don in the warehouse to be conducting an experiment just 35 seconds before. Honestly, for the packages, probably a safer outcome. They would have been destroyed by every workers anyway. Meanwhile, Cole Palmer was on the scene perplexed, realizing his icy shoulders weren't gonna put out the fire. Now, European football was on fire as well.
Fire burn.
There was absolute 4D Cineworld cinema at the Camp Nou, but unfortunately, the film's getting a 1-star review from Barca fans. Getting your money back is not a financial lever. I'm on my knees here. Barcelona were reverse remontaded by PSG in a mental quarter-final tie. An early Rafinha goal had Barca 1 foot into the semis, but 4 unanswered goals completed the Parisian comeback. Now, before the game, and Barca fans printed off Ousmane Dembele dollars to suggest that he went to PSG for the money, but it would be Ousmane with the last laugh.
I love this game!
Getting a goal in the game in a result that he saw coming from years ago. And it's fair to say that Barca fans have, they've taken the situation well.
Fucking off that, you
Now, the big turning point here was a Ronald Araujo red card, as he brought down Barcola as last man in the first half. Fans are already gathering, waiting to welcome Araujo back on the streets of Barcelona. And by the end of the first half, the attendance in the stadium had gone up by 1. Listen, Ronald, I need you to be calm. All right, we're 1-0 up. Don't do anything. A lot of conversation on the decision and the fact that it maybe ruined the game, but it just is a red card. The other defender isn't going to be able to come across and cover in time, and so he is in essence the last man, and it is a foul, so it's just stupidity. And the self-sabotage kept coming for Barcelona with this ridiculous Joao Cancelo penalty challenge. He'll be left confused at himself when he watches the highlights back, and then when Vitinha received the ball from a short corner, Robert Lewandowski was left a little bit distracted. Hey, yo, has anyone seen this new TikTok audio? Lever, please, you need to go down, man. What are you doing? I will confiscate the phone, big man. His mind was not on the game as the corner was taken. And this led to frustration as Xavi volleyed the advertising boards, getting himself sent to the stands. And there were cards flying out all over the place. I know I said the red card earlier on was justified, but the referee here completely lost control of the game. But apparently he was Romanian, so I guess that really probably all makes sense in terms of the chaos. But despite all of that, and Barca were not giving up late in the game. Yeah, they should probably have given up late in the game. It was Kylian Mbappe that put them to the sword with a late goal here. Honestly, he wasn't even a top 3 attacker at PSG during this tie. Lamine Yamal was left devastated, crying on the bench. Brother, you're like 7. You're gonna get so many more opportunities at this trophy. But one man that didn't deserve this was Rafinha. How good has he been during the course of this tie? He was even training in a do-rag beforehand. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Man was making waves in training. That's Philly, mate.
Is there something wrong with me?
Now, another nail-biting second leg came in the form of Real Madrid versus Man City, as Los Blancos won on penalties versus Pep's men. Ukrainian goalkeeper Andrei Lunin's performance was the story here. He was great in normal time, and this is from a man who was supposed to be 3rd choice at Real Madrid at the start of the season. He's had loads of loans to lower league Spanish clubs, and now he was their penalties hero, though he was helped by Bernardo Silva getting distracted. Oh, yeah, I tell you what, Benzema's Penenka from back in the day was sick, you know. Bernard, please, now's just not the time. Penalty will do, mate. I don't even play for you. I'm here from the last stroke, but don't do it anyway. He gambled by slotting it down the middle. The gamble did not pay off.
Bernardo Silva, he was miles off it yesterday.
If you're Pep Guardiola, you're upset realising you just sold your club's best penalty taker for £40 million to Chelsea.
What's the solution?
Kill someone?
But Man City fans must have been so confident going into extra time, let alone the pens, after battering Real Madrid in normal time. City flexed their Champions League trophy before kickoff against Real Madrid, who have won 14 of them. It's like me flexing a condom to Johnny Sins, mate. And speaking of which, he was their penalties coach, clearly. Bernardo, mate, I need you to completely fuck it. In what way, Johnny? The Vinny Junior that turned up for a 1v1 battle against Kyle Walker wasn't the best version of himself. Kyle must have been confused seeing Vinny try and run him behind, knowing that he was gonna catch up with the Brazilian anyway.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
Jude Bellingham and Ederson were getting pretty close for comfort, it's fair to say, during this one. Yeah, see, that's my boy. Meanwhile, Erling Haaland once again went missing in a big European tie. His highlights poor here. And so there it was, with the score at 1-1 on the night thanks to Rodrigo and Kevin De Bruyne, and 3-3 on aggregate. Manchester City were finally facing penalties of some kind. Ederson took the final pen for Man City here. That is absolutely crazy. But he couldn't stop Real Madrid progressing after a poor Kovacic spot kick. Jude Bellingham was leading the Spanish chance. And Carlo Ancelotti was celebrating down on the touchline. With one glance at his tactics board, it's fair to say that his plan worked out, and it leaves the situation as a rough one for Manchester City fans. All 8 of them. It was not a good night for the English clubs generally, as Arsenal bowed out of the Champions League too, following a 1-0 defeat to Bayern at the Allianz. A weirder farmers, lads. You know what? Fuck all of that noise. It's a great day for the rest of us watching this result. Martin Odegaard, get the camera out and take some pictures of a Champions League, because that's all you've got now. After the result, and Bayern Munich were celebrating in the changing rooms, knowing this could be the only trophy they win all season. Manuel Neuer, though, was feeling relaxed during this one, lying down before taking a goal kick. That's truthfully how he could have been for 90% of this match. Although, hold on a second. UEFA, you might want to investigate it. Bukayo Saka was completely ineffective in this one, I'm not going to lie, lads. Ade Ashley Young at best. And with a 95th minute corner and a goalkeeper forward, all he had to do was beat the first man. He did not beat the first man. I hate to break it to you. If you hit the first man in that situation, I'm hitting you. Amen. But at least his expected limps were once again at an all-time high. The boy seems to spawn an injury in the 93rd minute if he hasn't got a goal or an assist. Meanwhile, elsewhere on the pitch for Arsenal, Declan Rice was distracted as Joshua Kimmich came in to score. Right, babe. Leroy Sané had Takehiro Tomiyasu doing Olympic-level gymnastics, and he's not let Eric Dyer be man of the match. What is even going on here? Arsenal were gutted, of course, on Twitter, but said it was a journey to be proud of. This is the journey in question, mate. There's nothing to be proud of here. The amount of solid teams beaten all competition, 0. And Borussia Dortmund's Champions League tie was mental as well, as they eventually got the better of Atletico Madrid. It started with a Dortmund comeback, then we got an Atletico Madrid comeback, then we got another Borussia Dortmund comeback.
What is going on here?
This honestly was absolutely ridiculous. This genuinely might have been the pinnacle of all of the action. And there were absolute scenes as Marcel Sabitzer scored the eventual winner. Borussia Dortmund's admin couldn't quite believe what he was seeing, and when they composed themselves, they called Sabitzer their Pookie Bear. Yeah, nah, we might have to. Yo, and Atletico are through to the Champions League. Poor Atleti, man. Diego Simeone had a genuine stroke during the course of this match. Meanwhile, Erik ten Hag will be left fuming, seeing Jadon Sancho succeed in his footballing career now he's left.
Are you taking the fucking piss?
One fan supposedly stole a shirt that was thrown by one of the players from a fellow supporter that was in a wheelchair. I'm not gonna lie, that supporter's gonna be getting their vengeance when they find out where they live. That's outrageous. I hope the original fan gets a new one. I'm happy for Dortmund getting into the Final Four, but knowing them, they're gonna find the maddest way to bottle all of this, as Bayer Leverkusen somehow arrive in the 97th minute of the final to win the Europa League and Champions League at the same time. And speaking of the Europa League, Liverpool are out.
It gives me, I think they call it
depression.
A 1-0 victory on the night does not hide the poor performance across both legs. We scored early here to a Mo Salah penalty, but honestly didn't really threaten for the rest of the 85. I'm renaming this tie to corner taken slowly. There was no intensity at all. Honestly, I'd go as far to say it was just goal kick. After the first leg and the humiliation of San Marino offering us out for a game, we've now gone out to Davide Zappacosta. It was a shocking display, far too indecisive in the final third, and honestly, we may well have done better playing the under-15s. Meanwhile, for Aston Villa, and they are through to the Final Four of the Conference League in dramatic fashion, knocking out Lille on penalties. The hero of the day here, Emi Martinez, once again in a shootout, saving 2 penalties after getting 2 yellow cards. That doesn't even make sense, mate. And another thing, you can come back for another red card, lad. This was because one of them came in the penalty shootout, and clearly yellow cards get reset after 120 minutes of football. He celebrated after his penalty saves with a dance, once again violating the French. And as croissants are undoubtedly thrown from the stands, I offer Emi a shithousery award. And Aston Villa with that are the only English team left in European competition, and it's in the Conference League. Maybe we found our level as a collective league. In the Premier League though now, and know what? I'm not even a fan of sport as a general anymore. I'm taking up a different pastime. You know, how staggeringly sizzled was the massive blow in the title race for the Reds as Liverpool lost 1-0 to Crystal Palace at Anfield. Now, my preparation for this game was already pretty intense. Asthma pump, heart monitor, Nurofen, but in the end, all we got was Cristanbul Part 2.
I'm sick and tired of battling anxiety and depression.
We just sack off everything when we're in a title race, but Crystal Palace is next on the fixture list.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I give up. Well played, guys.
Live Cry ended up being a pretty fitting hashtag. Meanwhile, it's nice to see the new Liverpool update is in FC24 already. Meanwhile, I'm pretending that I don't have clinical depression by focusing in on the fact that we've gained goal difference on Arsenal this week. At full time, and whilst Jurgen Klopp was trying to give an interview, Palace were blasting out the tunes.
Yeah.
Imagine being Will Hughes in that changing room, mate. Palace even changed their bio on Twitter. Great stuff for them. The biggest result they'll have all year. I'm just left now infuriated at the fact that Liverpool are once again playing football this weekend. Nobody else has to hate watch Liverpool because I will do it instead. It's okay, guys. I mentioned Arsenal and the one positive, the Gunners and Bukayo Saka and Nando's bottling it too. As the Gunners lost 2-0 to Aston Villa at the Emirates. Emi Martinez was the hero here against his former club. And for me, it's finally time to return to Arsenal Fan TV. Ollie Watkins took a dig at Troy Deeney for comments that the former Watford man made about him, saying not bad for a winger trying to be a striker. Meanwhile, Manchester City centre-back John Stones was ready to thank Leon Bailey for his contribution to Man City once again being the favourites.
Wagwan Generals.
There were no mistakes from Man City as they battered Luton Town 5-1 to go top, and on the week of their 130th birthday. Fucking hell, 130 years? I didn't know we were all that old. Take the zero off, lads. You're not fooling anybody with that sort of behaviour. Before the game, Manchester City continued their usual initiative of getting young Man City fans to draw the players. Jeremy Doku's was something else. It really drew for the fully black crayon, you know. I think it's very good, Frankie. Honestly, it looks a lot like him. Meanwhile, down towards the bottom, and Chelsea beat Everton emphatically with a huge 6-0 win. But unfortunately, the main talking point here was a negative, with a squabble for a penalty when the side were already 4-0 up. Cole managed to score himself the perfect hat-trick as well in this one in the first 30 minutes of the game. Better say Cole was gassed after scoring his third.
Here's what the chat is. I've had a punk IPA and a medium Mackies. I'm always down for the war.
Just a reminder, the kid's 66 rated on FIFA. Madueke, though, was not happy. He wanted to get himself on the score sheet and Nico Jackson backed him. Palmer will be left furious when Noni reports him to Maurizio Pochettino.
Oh man, Panda bacon, man.
And the Chelsea boss was not happy with the situation. Frustrated that such a positive night had ended up negatively and saying that they were a bunch of children. I don't see this changing though, honestly. If I'm Cole Palmer, I'm calling to take all 5 penalties in a shootout. He'll be taking matters into his own hands when he sees Nico Jackson step up for the third. Meanwhile, Conor Gallagher, after ripping the ball off 2 black players, you're not beating the allegations, my friend. But give the ball back to Cole, you nit. Shit player was once again written on his hat-trick ball here for Cole Palmer, and I feel like I know who the culprit is at this point. And as for England, you know, Cole Palmer really putting himself in the shop window. You gotta ask, how's Gareth Southgate going to fit all these exciting forwards on the same bench? Everton were battered and so were Spurs as they were slapped 4-0 by Newcastle up north. Mickey van der Veen has had an unreal debut season, but he got absolutely rinsed here. Sent to the shops, put down onto the floor by Alexander Isak. Mickey, mate, it's a little bit early to be going on holiday, I'm afraid to say. It's good to see that Tottenham put a toilet roll next to his shirt before kickoff because he was shit today and firmly took the piss. Bruno Guimaraes was happy to remind Tottenham's Giovanni Lo Celso of the scoreline at 4. Meanwhile, last year, of course, Spurs fans had their tickets reimbursed after shipping 6 away from home. I reckon it's time to go back to back.
It's happened again.
But in wholesome stuff, and Dan Burn celebrated by touching his shirt, a sensory shirt linked to young fans and had limited vision or limited hearing, which I think is really sweet. Now, I spoke about this in more detail in this video here, but don't worry, Bayer Leverkusen fans, you're about to get your flowers, as they were crowned Bundesliga champions for the first time. They peppered Werder Bremen 5-0 here to secure the title, with wonder kid and star boy Florian Wirtz managing to get his first senior professional hat-trick. Himself, the likes of Jeremy Frimpong, Granit Xhaka, Palacios, Radetzky, Grimaldo, Boniface, Patrick Schick, they will go down as legends of this football club. And quite rightfully, the scenes in the changing rooms afterwards were pandemonium, as Jeremy Frimpong was intent on throwing a pint of beer all over Edmund Tapsoba. Frimpong then continued by giving the least media-trained interview of all time.
I like the pink, by the way.
You do?
Very nice.
Oh, thank you.
You look handsome.
Not everyone tells me that. Just finally.
You can only imagine he was distracted back in the day as his media training teacher was telling him how his posture should be during a press conference. But the scenes, honestly, in the stadium were absolutely glorious. I'm so happy for Bayer Leverkusen, still unbeaten in the league, of course. Even the security guards were celebrating here, for God's sake. They were doing absolutely no checks before kickoff. They just wanted to get on the piss. There was wholesome stuff as well from Victor Osimhen, who shared a picture of himself and Victor Boniface at youth level for Nigeria on Insta. Meanwhile, there was representation for Xabi Alonso in the crowd, and what a job Xabi Alonso has done. He has delivered some much needed joy to Bayer Leverkusen fans. I'm starting to wonder, you know, is there a prime curse? Arsenal got their bottle sponsored and bottled it, and now Bayern Munich have lost the title for the first time in 11 years. Honestly, Harry Kane drinking a bottle of Prime, the world ends, mate. Now over on Insta, and Kate Abdo's husband met the CBS Sports crew. And you're telling me Thierry Henry was still stood next to her? This guy's a menace. Kate's husband will not be pleased when she laughs a little bit too hard at one of Thierry's jokes.
I don't know why he's being cheeky. Why is he being cheeky?
And things will be getting heated at the dinner table when Jamie Carragher tells him that he only said that Kate cheated once.
You have no idea what she's done to me. You have no
Alejandro Garnacho's been getting some stick at United this week after liking a couple of tweets that were derogatory towards Eric Ten Hag. We've got some exclusive footage of what he was saying about Eric after their most recent draw against Bournemouth.
I didn't call you Baldy.
United fan Luke Little has been playing some football over on YouTube, and a dart star is actually not that bad. He's a wonder kid, bro. This is Kebabinho. Imagine what this kid could have done if it wasn't for Fanta and an Xbox Live membership. If I'm Ginge, I'm fuming seeing that he's better than 75% of United's squad.
Fuck off.
And speaking of Ginge, him and his pro club side have really gained some traction over on Twitch, to the point where they've now signed Wayne Rooney, and he was ready to violate immediately.
If you want me back, I'll be back.
If we want you back,
Wayne, you can come back tomorrow, mate, yeah? Just talk me shit
whenever you want, Waz.
Oh, you ginger.
The club's called Girth and Turf. Wayne will be left devastated when he realises he's not actually allowed to use his girth on some random woman from Burton. He's handing in a transfer request immediately. This is actually just so mad, isn't it? Well done to everybody involved. We love to see them shining. Aaron Ramsdale was even involved. Great to see him finally getting some games.
Took 6 years on a new airline.
Come on, mate.
Elsewhere across England, and there was an interesting idea for a stag do. One man dressed as a cat, and then the rest of his mates dressed as Kurt Zuma. They finally did manage to catch up with the cat involved, kicking him about outside a pet welfare shop. It was a day to forget for Burnley goalkeeper Harry Janet Muric, whose howler cost them 3 points against Brighton. But in more wholesome events, shout out Rodrigo Muniz, who won Player of the Month this week in the Premier League, and he was surprised during an interview by Willian and Co.
That's so fast. Oh my God.
Congratulations. Play of the month. I told you we were gonna cry. I told you guys.
Muy good, para bien, man. Tú mereces, man.
Now back in Germany, and there's been drama at Werder Bremen, as Naby Keita reportedly refused to get on the club's team bus after being told he'd be only on the bench for their trip to Bayer Leverkusen. Now, as you'd expect for this act of unprofessionalism, allegedly, he's been fined heavily and banned till the end of the season. I heard it's because he wasn't allowed to sit next to the physio. But why is he even annoyed? The bench is the safest place for you, brother. There was drama for Borussia Dortmund as well, as they were given a penalty. Marcel Sabitzer stepped up to take it, but as he was about to kick the ball, the referee stopped it to consult VAR and disallowed the penalty altogether. Surely there's a limit to how late you can check for something. Oh, lads, I'm sorry, I've just seen. I've got to go to the screen. We're on the bus home, geezer. Yeah, I'm not on the bus, mate. Fuck off out of here. In France, and there was one of the most dramatic games of the season played out between Lyon and Brest. 4-3 the final score, 2 red cards late on. An absolutely mental comeback from Lyon, topped off by a ridiculously calm and composed Ainsley Maitland-Niles penalty. I'm pretty sure he yawned before taking it, for fuck's sake. And in the end, Brest got touched. Meanwhile, elsewhere, and for Dijon, 16-year-old Ryan Messi scored his first goal for the club. Messi, 60? I've seen this script before, guys. Don't need to. Meanwhile, Metz are down in the relegation zone in Ligue 1, and their fans are not pleased. They came dressed as ghosts with a banner saying that they can turn into ghosts as well, as a dig at their players' pretty anonymous performances. Well, in the end, it motivated the side, because they did end up winning 2-1. Over in Italy and in Serie A, there's more drawing going on here than Picasso's living room. For some reason, a member of Irish Parliament turned up in a Torino shirt.
President, in Boca Lupa al Toro Sabato contra la Juve. Juve merde, Forza Toro.
For some reason, he's a fan of the Serie A side. He has been for ages. He's actually the creator of a club called Wexford in Ireland, which uses a very similar badge as inspiration. But there was more serious news in the game between Udinese and Roma, which was abandoned after a medical emergency for Evan Ndicka. He collapsed on the pitch. There was a lot of concern from fans and fellow players alike. It turns out that he'd suffered from a collapsed lung in the moment. Obviously, he had to be substituted. The game was abandoned. Thankfully, he has been discharged from hospital and even reunited with the Roma squad after they won against Milan in Europe. And speaking of which, in that victory, Roma players wanted to know just how long they had left to maybe do a bit of time wasting, but never asked Daniele De Rossi how long's left of a football match. Meanwhile, in Spain, an Athletic Bilbao got themselves a guard of honour after Copa del Rey glory last week. I got something wrong last time. It was not a 100-year trophy drought, only 40. I got two stats mixed up, but either way, massive achievement for them and their fans. Meanwhile, you've got a penalty in the 98th minute of a game, and it's all important. This decides the final result.
You know you can't be prosecuted for that!
Now there is time for your goals of the week, and we've got some special strikes again. We start off for Liverpool's under-21s, where Jadon Danns is playing against Manchester United. The ball is sent into the area, and Jadon has got to do a little bit of improvisation with a truly remarkable back heel. A unique goal there, but next up, one that we've probably seen a few times before, but it never gets any less impressive. As over in Italy and at Taranto, this ridiculous halfway line strike loops over the goalkeeper after being yammed away. But finally, this goal comes with a little bit of a storyline, as in the Cypriot Cup and in a semi-final, we are going into the 93rd minute. Something special is going to be needed to break the deadlock and send one side to the final, and something special is what we got. Hello all, and welcome to The Beautiful Game, the segment where we take a look at the poetic and brilliant side of the game that we love. We are back by popular demand for yet more glorious beauty.
Here, John Maracedo just chases after that, but the captain's clearance hits the face of Pete Forosuelo.
And that concludes The Beautiful Game. Over in Saudi Arabia, and Al Hilal have been crowned Saudi Pro League champions. A ridiculous achievement from them. They've lost their unbeaten record actually in the Asian Champions League, but they've slapped everybody about domestically. Neymar was with the side to celebrate after being injured all season. It's like when the one kid is part of like a group project at school, does no work and still gets an A. His role was keeping the physios entertained, mate. Meanwhile, things aren't going quite as smoothly at Benzema's Al Ittihad, as one fan decided to whip a player that he wasn't happy with after their most recent result. Saudi Arabia also saw the greatest nearly Puskás award this week, as Fabinho, not that one, almost scored an outrageous bicycle kick from outside of the area only for it to hit the crossbar. Now in Miami, and Matteo Messi scored 5 goals for Inter Miami's under-9 side, and honestly the goals on show here are absolutely mental. There is no DNA test needed on this kid. Imagine being Ibar seeing Messi Junior line up against them in 7 years from now.
You're joking. Not another one?
In the Czech Republic, there were beautiful scenes after Slavia Prague's most recent derby match, with ultras setting off a remarkable display of fireworks and flares for the players to watch in the night sky. Over in Portugal though, and it's not quite as beautiful if you're this Braga attacker who's trying to celebrate with a knee slide. This brother's managed to injure 2 parts of his body in the same celebration. San Marino made history this week, being involved in their first ever women's match. It was at youth level, and the women's side managed to do something the men have never done before, scoring 4 goals in a game. The under-16 scored 4 here, but unfortunately there was the slight problem of them conceding 7. But look, it's progress at the end of the day. Former Milan and Ukraine striker Andrei Shevchenko is wanting to introduce lie detectors for referees to stop corruption and match fixing across Europe. I'd love to see that in England, but the problem is the referees don't actually know that they're being incompetent. In Brazil, and this Cruzeiro fan had an absolute nightmare trying to get his car out of a car park. How the fuck do you end up on the stairs?
You can't park this, huh?
And if you thought the fans were incompetent, honestly, the ground staff of Brazil seem to have been incompetent this week as well. Why are you sweeping the water back onto the pitch, brother? Closer to home though, and shout out massive congratulations to Pompey. Portsmouth are promoted out of League One. They've been there for 12 years. They've finally made it back into the second tier of English football. Obviously Portsmouth, a team that actually has a little bit of a place in my heart, given some of the players that used to play for them in their FA Cup run of 2007, for example. And then of course that team has a place in Portsmouth fans' hearts, and this one dad here who saved a pint of milk because it went out of date on the day that they won the FA Cup with the likes of Jermaine Defoe and Peter Crouch. He has frozen it for 16 years and is contemplating drinking it tonight.
What's he getting? What's he getting? This is the big question. What's he getting?
That tastes like promotion!
One Southampton fan is going all in when it comes to supporting his club this week. There's going in full kit and then there's this. The brothers even got shin pads on. Meanwhile, yet another team getting promoted this week are Wrexham. Themselves and Stockport, in fairness, have been promoted from League 2 this week. It's back-to-back promotions for Wrexham now. The Hollywood story sees them into League 1. Obviously, a lot of people have got differing opinions. Undoubtedly, it is a fairy tale. You couldn't write Ryan Reynolds, quite literally Deadpool, buying a random team in the Vanarama National League. Of course, they should be expected to get promoted because they pay ridiculous wages in comparison to the rest of the league. It's not an impressive feat necessarily, but it's an impressive story, I guess. What is an impressive feat is over in the Finnish Cup, where we've got a 21-0 scoreline here. Fair to say a comeback in the second leg is not really on. And elsewhere in the Finnish Cup, we've probably got the most ridiculous penalty being given. As a goal kick was taken, the defender picks it up because he wanted to take the goal kick, and a pen is given for handball. Gabriel, count your lucky stars, mate. This wasn't you. Over in Georgia, and firemen are clearly a little bit distracted. They just want to play some football and have a kick about. Guys, I'm pretty sure there's an every warehouse that's on fire somewhere. Fuck that, mate. I'm doing my rondos. In Bosnia and Herzegovina, and the Sarajevo derby was pretty dramatic. Absolute chaos in the first half with a barrage of yellow cards and 2 reds. Not quite the same dramatics going on, though, in Uruguay, according to these 2 sleeping fans. In Norway, and there were some heroics from one goalkeeper. 20-year-old shot stopper UNKLE Groningen saved all 4 penalties of a shootout in the Norwegian Cup as his 5th-tier side Torvastad beat top-flight opposition in a massive cup upset. Meanwhile, in Perth, and $20 a football scran gets you a burnt margarita pizza. Call the police right now. Now there is time for Still 0-0, and you guys know the score by now. This is a segment of the show where I bring to the best of Sunday League and amateur football. And this clip comes from friend of the channel, Vizza, who posted this video. I don't know if this is from a Sunday League match that he's been involved in Poland, or whether it's just footage that he happens to have found. But either way, the goalkeeper is ready to come out and claim the ball, and he's going to get there pretty easily. He doesn't necessarily need to do anything mental. Yeah, nah, play on, mate. Eyes for the ball. The most ridiculous thing about all of this, he didn't even get sent off. That's attempted murder, mate, let alone serious foul play. On to the weird stuff, though, now. First of all, up in Lancashire, and Colne FC are almost ready to get a game of football underway. Now, I say almost very intentionally, because there's one thing stopping this game of football from getting underway. A lack of footballs. Yep, they had to actually delay their most recent league match, a Lancashire FA Challenge Trophy game against Padium, because seemingly no one remembered to actually bring a football to the match. It's a wonder anybody remembered to actually bring the nets, isn't it, really? There's the strange story of Balzers FC in Liechtenstein, who've had very familiar opposition in their cup. Now, the National Cup of Liechtenstein is very weird, because a lot of their teams actually play in the pyramid of neighbouring Switzerland. FC Vaduz is the best team in Liechtenstein, but they floated between the top 2 divisions of Swiss football for a little while. Basically, what I'm trying to say is there's not many teams from Liechtenstein, and that's clearly the case, because Balzers FC have played FC Vaduz in their last 4 cup matches, losing to them in the final of last year's competition, then playing FC Vaduz's C team in this year's quarterfinals, their B team in the semi-finals, and then lost once again to the A team in a second final in a row. But the final story is a heartbreaking one, a sad one really, and it's the unfortunate passing of Angry Rant Man. Now, you will know this man for his rants about his beloved Chelsea, a content creator within the scene in his own right. Unfortunately, he passed away at the age of 27, no age whatsoever. My thoughts with his family and friends. A man that was able to bring joy and laughs to so many people. I hope he was able to find joy in Chelsea's last game, a 6-0 win against Everton, of course. That, though, is going to wrap up football this week, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, then feel free to hit the like button, and of course, subscribe if you are new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @theofficialfng on Twitter and on Insta. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.